So welcome to the Node.js Community Benchmarking Workgroup meeting for October 30th, 2018. We'll follow our standard agenda. I'm just going to, okay, so that's good. Flip over to the minutes. So first of all, does anybody have any announcements they'd like to share?
I was on calls in the last 2 weeks or so with folks at Oracle and a couple different academic institutions who are all interested in. Udom, you're making terrible sounds, I think. Is that? Yeah, okay. Just stop moving and we'll be fine. So various stakeholders here who are interested in benchmark development and or in having benchmarks to validate different analyses. Whether those benchmarks are performance benchmarks or just, oh, look, it's a complicated code base that our analysis works on for, you know, whatever it is that the academic folks are trying to do, some kind of information flow or something. So there's potentially something of a coalition forming out there that I wanted to tell you guys about.
Okay, so and they would be interested in doing some benchmark development or what's?
Yeah, definitely early stages still. So various of these parties have various benchmarks. Many of them are using Acme Air because that's sort of an easy thing to set up and run, and lots of people know about it. Some of them have additional benchmarks that they've been using and would be open to contributing back to the benchmarking group as a here you go with some scripts to run it type situation. There was also some discussion around maybe a useful point of intersection being standardizing hooks and data formats and configuration file formats and so on. That, you know, that's something that this group could potentially take the lead on if we wanted to, or that they would at least like to know what it is we're doing.
And is this node focused or?
Yeah. They're all interested in JavaScript and or Node.
Okay. And is there any reason they wouldn't want to come and sort of drive that as part of this group?
There's not necessarily a reason except that they might not want to show up to meetings and stuff. But they potentially would be willing to just be participants in this group. I'm not really sure how much commitment / ties to Node core stuff they want.
Right.
There's some value in academia in being not a practitioner when you do this stuff. So,
okay. So I can certainly get the meetings part, but if it's going to be asynchronous, issues in our repo might make sense. But then you're like, maybe there's some reason not to be that closely connected. Is that the?
Yeah, I'm just not sure what people's standpoints are on that. I don't know.
Okay.
Definitely potential interest from folks out there in A, using the benchmarks that the Node community manages.
Yep.
And B, potentially having an easy way to feed those benchmarks back in. And, you know, we've talked about issue number 155 below, which is about, you know, an agreed upon, these are the scripts you need to write, and this is how they're going to be run and so on, which would be helpful for them to give things back if we tell them sort of the spec of this is how you do it.
Right, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so it seemed promising.
Okay, so yeah, that sounds good. I was just trying to get sort of, it's not like a separate group that's going to get together and do something in a different direction or on their own, but it's more of a, you're saying it might not be as directive an involvement, but they're interested in feeding stuff into the kind of repo here and consuming as well, which is good.
Yeah. So a mix of people trying to feed back in, and also people who are like, yeah, it'd be great if I could easily get a set of applications that I could run my analysis on that aren't trivial or.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that update. Any other announcements?
I have an undergrad.
Okay.
He's been studying the metrics that Node Clinic and NSolid use, which hopefully we'll see if there's any additional metrics that we could or should be collecting as part of our the workloads that we're running nightly. So
okay, so by NSolid, and what was the other one you said?
Node Clinic.
Node Clinic, okay. And those are in terms of just like they collect those to report information, or they use them to control stuff?
Well, so they provide those two tools. I don't know if you've used them. They provide dashboards that they one way or another instrument Node or monitor events that Node emits by default.
Yep.
And they feed that information to a separate process that makes pretty graphs on a web browser you can look at. So they're calculating metrics that we're not calculating, for example, event loop blocking time, some garbage collection metrics, and so on. So it's not clear to me which of those metrics are valuable to whom, and obviously we don't want to plot 50 metrics because that's silly.
Right.
But it may be that some of those metrics would be very useful for us to be calculating here, at least in part to say, these two benchmarks are very different because one of them has much bigger chunks of JavaScript running than the other does, and one of them has more per request memory allocated than the other. And so kind of metrics that let us fingerprint our workloads would be quite valuable, I think.
Yeah, no, okay, so that's interesting. So it's because, there is a bit of sometimes a fuzzy overlap between data for, say, diagnostics. Like the event loop one is clearly, if you see certain characteristics, it's indicative of something. But you could potentially reuse some of those to say, well, if we change something and they get longer or something, that's not a good thing either, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Okay, anything else?
Nope.
No. Okay. Well, that's good. I don't have any announcements. Udom, do you have any? Nope. Okay. So let's get down into the agenda items. So investigate time taken, number of benchmarks in core. We don't have Gareth, so we'll skip. I don't think there's anything new. Require cache perf much slower. So I know, Udom, you had taken a look at that.
Yeah, so I was able to narrow it down. Can you hear me? My voice?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I did narrow it down to that one change, and the change is fairly simple. But of course, I'm not familiar with most of the course. I need to look at what exactly, what exactly the impact is. But then I just thought about it. The require is something this could be very high level. So from my perspective, require is something like you do a require, it finds a file and loads it and kind of finds the exports function and exports the function and kind of gives it to the application. And the second time you require the same function with the new cached module functionality, it kind of saves it into internal array. And then that's where it doesn't have to load or find the exported function entry point. So that in that sense, it probably is the time is the correct measurement than the ops per second. And I wasn't really sure exactly, is it just a copy paste or is that the right way we are measuring it? That was my first question.
I think it is quite likely, you can like time or ops per second is really the same thing except divided by some number, right?
So are we doing, so again, I have not looked into the benchmark.js or the runner function. So are we doing, how does the benchmark.js work? Does it run that function 100 times in a fixed amount of time, just to require new and the required cache, and see how many times we can access it in that fixed amount of time? So that way, then you can see that ops will be higher, ops will be better.
Right. So I'm not 100% sure because it uses a bit of a framework to do the run, but I did take a very quick look in the time that I had and posted the issues on some comments on the issue itself. At least one of the things in the framework makes me think that we're actually measuring hertz. Because if you open up the comment that I have there,
okay, let me get to that. Where is it? Isn't it 202?
It is 202, yes.
Okay, I'm not refreshed the page. Okay, so it says, okay, you're saying results.reduce. Is that what you're referring to?
Well, yeah, so that part, and then I guess you're right. And so as part of that, you see it says return S plus event.target.hertz.
So that's a time, right?
Well, hertz to me is a something per second.
Okay.
Like 60 hertz is 60 cycles per second. So I read that as that would be ops per second.
So that's a more is better.
Yes.
Okay. So in that, if that is the correct way to measure it, then the overall number, even the required.new, has gone down. It's not, so if you look at the 6.x numbers, it is a little higher than the ops per second for the latest one. And right after from that, not actually the required.new is reduced, not from that commit, but it is starting to go down sometime.
Right. So let me see. I'm just looking. Require new. Right. So it has trended slightly down in 10.x versus. Yeah, you're right that it looks like it's gone down a little bit as well.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to make sure that I'm reading it correctly, since I'm not familiar with that. The whole.
I'm not 100% sure, but for my the 10 minutes I could spend looking at it, I think that's what it is. So I think it's worth going back and looking at the framework and actually making sure that one, it is cycles per second or like ops per second, just to be sure.
Okay,
the other thing I can't explain is 6.x is still way higher than the other ones.
Yeah. So if I already experimented, if I take out that commit, especially when the cache module is true, the numbers are higher than 6.x. That I know that. I just wanted to make sure I understand the framework correctly, and are we measuring the correct way? Because if it's time, then it makes sense it is going down. That's how I was looking at it.
Right. So from what I looked at, I'd say yes. I didn't write the original one, so I'm not 100%. So I think spending a bit more time to be sure makes sense. But that I think is what it looked like to me that it was.
Okay, so at least I'm almost there, right?
Okay.
So at least we have the commit which improves that change.
What still doesn't make sense to me is why it would be the cached would be even lower than new, right?
Oh, because we are earlier, the children's were not updating when the cache module has been found.
Right.
So we are spending more time actually updating the tree.
Oh, so I could understand why that change would make it go down, but if you look at the number, it's 3,000 for it's 3,000 for cached, and 30,000 for non-cached. So I could see cached it slowing down, but not being less than new, right? Because new, I think, caches the children as well.
New does not. Okay, I need to look at the code. I don't remember. But I know that in cache module, first of all, there are multiple conditions in that update children function.
Right.
So it could be we are doing more operations in that function anyway.
Right.
So we are spending a little more, executing a little bit more JavaScript code there. So I'll take a look. And I'll maybe update this issue later.
And I guess it's kind of like understanding then what updating the children's means, because you think that is it updating the cache with the children, or what's the?
It is updating the cache. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So maybe it would seem that a cache is not doing what it's supposed to do if it actually is 10 times slower with the cache than without, right?
Yeah. So if I just don't update the children,
so
then the
okay, so
higher.
You're going to continue to.
So I'll continue to look into it.
I think we lost you just for a minute there, but
well, I was saying that if I don't update the children in the cache module case when it's true, the numbers around 55,000 or something. So it's much higher than what it was with 6.x.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's good. It sounds like you know the reason for the change. Now we just need to understand what it's actually telling us.
Yeah, correct. So I'll look at the code and also look at the work.
Okay. So 159 adding Ghost, I think unless you tell me otherwise, I think this is just next on your list, right?
The next on my list, yeah, slowly. And there was next one was, we don't have a Node.js on our list because you said that it doesn't work with master, but I saw that master chart has been updated. Only the Canary build is not been updated with Node.js as results. So you can, I know we don't have that on our list. Yeah, everything is frozen.
I can hear you. Did we lose Michael?
Yeah.
I think we lost Michael.
Michael, we can't hear you.
Hello.
Hello, Michael.
I guess it was me who was having trouble.
Maybe so.
Okay, sorry, I missed that last little bit, Udum, because it.
Oh, I was saying that Ghost is on my next on my list, but I did spend time looking at the Node.js.
Okay.
You mentioned we don't have an actually issue open for that, but you said it does not work with master branch. But if you look at the chart, it seems to be working with master, not with the Canary build though, for some reason.
So I don't remember.
Yeah, it was stopped for a few days.
Maybe it was not working for a while, but now it's okay.
Yeah, I'm not changing anything. I just saw it, but I think we still don't have the results with Canary build.
Canary is sort of works, doesn't work. Is it that it's does the other benchmarks work for Canary?
Most of them, yes.
Okay.
Most others do work. Benchmarking. Most others do have some numbers. In fact, yeah, except the Node.js.
Right. Yeah. Canary is. Yeah. You're right. I can see that most of the others are okay.
So I probably spend a little bit time looking at that.
Okay.
Also, and maybe I'll just open an issue.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think to open an issue just to say, hey, that's because eventually Canary will become master.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so our next issue is 155. Oops. Okay, there, I unmessed it up. Simplify multiple scripts logs, Node.js mention infrastructure.
Yeah, so I have sort of touched this in the sense that I've written no code, but I have been attending meetings to try to figure out if those other groups already have the stuff we want that we could just recycle. It doesn't sound like they do per se, or if they do, it's at a higher level than what we're talking about here, right? So I think that some groups may have a sort of a benchmark harness, but it doesn't. We're talking, this issue is about a lower level, like a consistent way that a harness would invoke all of these different benchmarks. So it doesn't sound like anyone has looked at specifically Node.js, Acme, and the other stuff that Core is doing and put those things into such a consistent harness. So it looks like we will have to do that.
Okay.
So that's either going to be done by me or my faithful undergrad in the next while.
Sounds good.
So that's what I've been doing.
Okay, sounds good. I'm just taking a note there. Sounds good. Okay, so next one, candidate benchmarks, number 6. 6.
That fits perfectly with what Jamie was saying earlier, right?
Yeah, so that I guess the thing I talked about earlier kind of falls under this of, yeah, there are people interested in helping. None of them seem to know a ton about Node use cases. So they didn't have anything to add here, which is sad.
Okay.
So that's about all that's happened there, I guess, is no one knows anything more than we know.
Right, okay.
Which is fine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's good and bad, right? But,
yeah.
Okay, good. Rachel, no, none of the people Jamie talked to have concrete make.
I will make one note, which is that the Oracle folks do have some in-house apps that they might be able to tell us about.
Okay.
And I talked to a guy at the BBC who might have some in-house Node apps. I have no idea. Got a random email, so we'll see if he follows up on that.
Some bench. Okay. Okay, so extra question marks for that one. Okay. So that was what was on the agenda. Any other issues that you'd like to talk about today?
None from my end.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Okay, let's just see if we have anybody on the YouTube and therefore any potential for questions, if I can find that. Okay, if anybody is watching, we'll give you 30 seconds to throw something in the chat. Okay, I don't see anything, so I don't think that we have any questions this week. So if that's it, we'll call it for this week and we'll see everybody next time.
Okay, nice to see you all.
Okay,
all right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Great to talk to you all. And so Udom, I'll look for your email and we'll catch up this afternoon.
Yeah, okay, sure. In fact, we can talk now right after this meeting if you can.
I have something I should actually go to.
Okay. All right, then I'll send you an email.
But do you want to choose a time, or like, do you know you'll be back at a particular time?
Yeah, because I have to calculate 3 hours.
Right.
So yours 4 o'clock. How about that?
Yeah. So my 4 o'clock would be your 1 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
Let me just check my calendar. I think that should be good. So
about 4:30.
Yeah, 4 o'clock's good.
Okay.
Okay, I'll talk to you then. Bye.
Bye.